All right, welcome back, guys. Plenty to talk about. Number one, Duke playing UCF right now, ranked number 9. Yankees came out with their opening day roster. Big extensions happened in MLB, and Rob Gronkowski just announced his retirement. Lots coming up, so stay tuned.
It's Elliott! It's picked off! It's picked off! It's Tracy Porter!
All right, I'll keep it going. We got another special guest on for you guys today. His name is Rudy. Rudy, would you like to say hi?
How's it going, everybody? How you doing today?
About time you get on the show. We've only wanted you for a while now.
Yeah, and I had to get on here. A lot of good discussions on here, you know?
I think after all those Gary Sanchez talks, we needed to get you on here sooner.
Yeah, can't mess with my guy Gary Sanchez. Come on.
We'll touch that later on. But hey, Duke is on the ropes right now. They're holding on to a 4-point lead, 47-43, with 17:08 left in the second half. It's been interesting. A lot of I don't even know if you want to call them upsets. I mean, everyone that makes the bracket is good, even if you're a 16 team. But a lot of 12 and 13 teams upsetting the lower ranked teams. What do you guys think of that stuff so far?
Yeah, like what you just said. I don't know if they'd be crazy upsets right now so far, but like Kansas State lost, which was huge. They were ranked high. Villanova lost to Purdue.
Wisconsin.
There's just been some crazy. I don't know if I'd say upsets yet, but more just some losses that the team should have won.
The ranking confuses me because like teams like North Dakota State, Liberty, Belmont, those teams don't ever get to showcase themselves on the prime time, where like Duke and all of them. So when you see a 16-ranked team come in and beat somebody, sure, it shocks us all, but is it really an upset? Because Wofford, they were on a 21-game win streak before they lost yesterday.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's an upset. Go ahead, Rudy.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that were, they said that they're misseeded, that it could be tricky because these teams are actually better than what they're seeded. And they shouldn't be surprised to see a lot of upsets in this tournament.
Yeah. Rudy, did you happen to make a bracket this year?
Unfortunately, they won too late, so I didn't get to make a bracket. But
yeah, we go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I did go with North Carolina to take the whole thing, but I'm just being biased because I'm a North Carolina fan.
Yeah, of course you are. I forgot to do my bracket too. So
Me too, first time ever.
Yeah, between our family, we drew numbers out of a hat. We picked 5 teams.
We did a snake draft. We did a 5-round draft, and we each got to pick a team.
And of course, I had that number 1 pick, so I had to go with Zion. Man, I had to pick Duke, but I'm still rooting for my team, Michigan. They're 2-0 so far.
Tyler took.
They're sneaky good.
Yeah. Ty took Duke, Kentucky, Texas Tech, Purdue, and Kansas State.
Which they lost, so that was a loss.
Noah had the second round. He had the number 2 pick. He took UNC, Michigan, Michigan State, Florida State, and LSU. He's the only one that doesn't have a loss yet out of the 2 rounds. I took Gonzaga, Virginia, Tennessee, Kansas, and Houston, and I lost Kansas already.
LSU had that buzzer. Was that a buzzer beater, or did they just... No, they scored with 1 second left. 1 second left.
I tell you what, LSU didn't impress me. They really didn't. And that game was just a sloppy game all around. I don't think they're going to make it far. I really don't. They're not a team that, as a number 3 seed, jumped out at me as a dominating force. I mean, they barely got past Yale. They won 79-74, and Maryland took it to them. I mean, it was a great game, great entertainment, but they haven't shown anything.
Yeah.
I think what's crazy is that for the Duke team, you had Zion, who a lot of pros didn't even want him to play again after that. And I love the fact that he's playing. He's got 20 points already. He is, there were rumors that he might stay for a second year. I don't see that. He's easily a top 5 draft pick, if not top 2.
No, whatever team he goes to, he's definitely going number 1. He's very, very efficient. I wasn't expecting him to be that efficient as he is. The thing about Duke is they're a really good team, but they have problems scoring the 3. When they struggle scoring the 3, any team can come out and beat them, and it just takes one game for you to be done.
Now, Rudy, let me ask you this, because you're a Knicks fan. If the Knicks get, say, the number 1 overall pick, or even the number 2, and he's there, how bad would you want him, or do you not want him?
Oh, no, I'll definitely take Zion. I want them to get Zion. I don't want anybody else. I mean, I would be fine with R.J. Barrett or the kid from Murray State, but I would take Zion. He just looks like a generational player. in the NBA. That doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
What is that guy's name from Murray State? It's like a weird name, right?
I forgot his last name.
But he's good too.
No, he balled out the other day. I mean, unfortunately, he got eliminated his second game, but he balled out. I think it was Friday night.
I think with the free agency coming up and a lot of the big names in the free agent, and with them getting a top draft pick, I think the Knicks. I think finally you're going to start seeing New York basketball coming back to what it used to be back when they had Ewing and Starks and all them, and they dominated the East.
Yeah, no, it'd be nice to see. They could also have a good rivalry there where you already have the Celtics and the Sixers there, two great teams in that division. It'd be great for the NBA, especially if they could break up a little bit of the Warriors team so they wouldn't be so dominant, be in the finals like automatically pretty much. I
think for the Knicks, being a team in New York, you need to have one of the best teams because you're in New York. Everyone loves New York. It's what's the words I'm looking for? It's just a big place in general, and if they can get Kevin Durant and somehow get Kyrie out of Boston too, and get Zion, like that turns into a super team real quick.
Yeah, and they can't sleep on Brooklyn either. Brooklyn is playing surprisingly very well. They got a couple young pieces. D'Angelo Russell out there playing like an all-star, who's probably feeling really good right now after eliminating the Lakers the other day from playoff contention. So the kid's balling out right now. I got to give the Brooklyn Nets a lot of props. I did not expect them to be this good.
Yeah, and they're the number 7 seed right now. It almost looks like they're going to either be 7 or 8. Orlando is 3 games behind them. I just think the East is going to be unreal when the playoffs kick off.
I think it's cool what you see is happening in Brooklyn. Brooklyn looks good, really, really good right now. And yeah, the Lakers did get eliminated, and I think everyone saw that coming after the trade deadline. Listen, I know LeBron's quoted as the GOAT, and he's a good ball player, but when you don't have unity on that team, that chemistry on that team, you're not going to win games, and we all saw that.
Yeah, and I know the East is stronger this year, but the last few years the East has been kind of a joke compared to the West, and you can't slack off in the West and expect to come make the playoffs like it's nothing, especially if you don't have that chemistry. It's like, this is not Cleveland,
Yeah,
LeBron can't do things his way.
We talked about this on an earlier podcast about who we were projecting to go far, and I think the Warriors, as good as they are, I think with Denver there, at Houston, Houston, they're good as long as everyone else is good on that team besides Harden. They shoot the 3 a lot, but I don't see the Warriors. I don't see the Warriors going to the championship this year. I just think something's going to happen, either Denver or somebody is going to upset them, and they're going to be done.
And like we said earlier, I think with Houston comes the factor that if you take James Harden out of the picture, who knows if Chris Paul's going to be healthy? You cover Harden out of that, you don't have much. PJ Tucker's not bad, but you just don't have the pieces there.
Well, it's nice to see a little resurgence from Kenneth Faried now that he's over there. He's been playing great basketball. You also can't sleep on Oklahoma City. They're the best defensive team in the NBA right now, statistically speaking. And as long as Russell Westbrook stays consistent, he just has those games where he completely just starts chucking up 30 shots and only makes like 4 or 5 of them in a game and messes up the team chemistry.
Yeah, L.A. Clippers, they came out of nowhere too. They snuck in there. Now they're all the way up ranked 5th. Like that's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, like you said, with no stars, almost like Brooklyn.
I'm looking at Houston's roster right now. Harden averages 36.5 points. After that, it drops off. The next closest guy is Clint Capella. He's averaging 16. Eric Gordon, 16. Chris Paul, 15. Faried, 13. Carmelo Anthony. Is Anthony even on our team anymore?
No, he's long gone.
He's still listed on the roster. But, man, they have 5 guys in double digits, and that's it. After that, so if you can somehow shut Harden down, man, it's gonna be tough to find extra points somewhere else.
And I'm excited for my Sixers. The Sixers have been playing well. There was a lot of talk about Jimmy Butler. He's not going to re-sign. He's not going to get along there. But these past 5 games, fourth quarter comes around, he's becoming Jimmy Clutch, against Boston. Lights out.
That game was insane.
That was like a playoff game right there, and he came in clutch.
That game was insane. And I tell you what, if Smart doesn't get ejected, I think the Sixers lose that game. Because just the way the Sixers were playing, every time they get close, Boston would pull away again. And I think Smart when him shoving Embiid, that just energized that whole team.
Yeah.
And they went on a whole new level, and they just took it to him. Even the crowd got into it crazy loud.
Yeah, no, it was a great game. I wasn't the biggest fan of Jimmy Butler, to be honest, just because what he did with Minnesota Timberwolves. But I did like the pickup of Tobias Harris. I feel like he gels a little bit better with your team. But I do have to give it to Jimmy. He has been clutch the last few games, so it will help in the playoffs when you guys need that scoring in the fourth quarter to close out games.
Absolutely. And one thing I like lately is when you get to the fourth quarters and say their guard and Simmons pretty tough and Embiid pretty tough, what I like is you see Harris and you see Jimmy Butler really stepping up and getting us back in these games. So I hope that the Sixers can re-sign all these players because they'll be a good team for a while if they could do that.
Yeah, now you also have the sharpshooter and J.J. Redick also there to hit a couple clutch shots when you need them.
All right, so sticking with basketball here, there are rumors that Lonzo Ball is done with the Big Baller brand, and he posted a picture on Instagram today, and it said something about, like, dreams can come true if you just do it. So there's a lot of rumors coming around saying that he's going to sign a deal with Nike. What are your thoughts on that?
I really don't have any thoughts with that because I really don't care. I don't care about the whole Big Baller brand and what's going on out there. I think that's nothing but a distraction, and I think that all has to go. That has to get away from the LA Lakers.
Yeah, I feel like his dad, the Big Baller brand is more his dad's thing. I feel like it's just been a big distraction for his career, just taking away from the talent that he has, and it messes up the potential that he could have later on in his career.
It's almost like he's living in his dad's shadow. You know, his dad's always hovering over him, and it's like the kid needs his own time away to prove himself and stop being that guy that has the dad that's annoying as hell.
And I agree with that. I mean, it's nice to have your family involved and everything, but like you said, like I think the Big Baller brand was something that was cool at first. He had his own shoe. He was able to make his own shoe. I mean, but they were selling those shoes for like almost like I think $1,500.
But what has he really done for his kids? Yeah, what has he done for his kids' careers, though? I mean, the two that he took overseas, if you watch their stats were inflated because they were ball hogs. You know, they didn't even last over there, and that's why they're not even there anymore.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely agree with that. I think that it's a good step for Lonzo to kind of pull away from his dad. I understand, like, their mom went through a lot. You keep your family close, but I think at some point, I feel like his dad was a distraction for him, but I think it's a good move by him.
And he's a good player. He really is. He'll be a good fit whether he stays in L.A. or not. The kid can play, but I don't know if his career is going to take off in L.A. with LeBron. I think he needs to go start over and start somewhere new.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you see where every team LeBron goes to, they pretty much gut all their young talent, their draft picks, just to go get this all-star or that all-star, and he's never normally playing with the younger guys. You see Cleveland, they let go of Andrew Wiggins, so get Kevin Love. So now he comes to the Lakers. They try to trade that whole team to get another all-star in Anthony Davis. Didn't work out this time for them. He got stuck with the young guys, and the team didn't really gel.
You know, wouldn't that be something if the Lakers let LeBron go?
It would be something.
That would be crazy.
I think it would shock the nation. One thing that I've noticed hanging out with Rudy is I love when someone comes into the store and they start talking about LeBron because Rudy's not a big LeBron fan. So the first thing he's like is, yo, LeBron's trash. Get out of here.
Well, you know what? He's not trash, but he is a good player, but he's not a good team player. He's not a good defensive player. The only time he really turns it on is in the playoffs, and that's when he steps it up.
Yeah. Unless it's 2011 finals we're talking about, then he completely disappeared in that final series. I mean, I'll never really say he's trash. He is one of the top best players of all time. But when people come talk to me that he's better than Michael Jordan, as a guy that's old enough to have watched both play, he doesn't compare to Michael Jordan to me. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Don't care what the stats say.
I agree 100% with you. And plus, Michael Jordan was a good teammate. He was a good captain. He got guys motivated. You know,
I mean, even Kyrie wanted to leave.
Michael Jordan was just an all-around great person. I mean, he got guys involved. Names of like Kerr. You know, it just who else could you say besides Wade that was a great player that played with LeBron James?
And it's exactly like, I mean, I'm not trying to talk down LeBron. Like, he might be the GOAT for this generation, but as someone that good, you think that he'd be building up these younger guys, passing the ball a lot to them, giving them their opportunity, especially when you knew your season was basically over. Like, giving them the opportunity to shoot around, like, make something out of these young guys, like Kuzma, who can shoot the ball, who's good. You know what I mean? The Sixers, the Bulls, their core stayed together. Pippen, Hornacek, Kerr. They had B.J. Armstrong. They had all these guys who were really nothing, and then coming together as a team, they turned into one of the best teams of all time.
And, Jordan was cocky on the court where he'd tell you, I'm going left, and you're not going to stop me. But as far as off the court, when you ask him, who's the greatest of all time, he would tell you, I can't really say that. There's so many great players throughout our era. But you ask LeBron that question, he's like, I'm the greatest basketball player ever, this and that. Like, come on, dude. Like, you're not the greatest when you have to say it. You have to let other people say it for you in reality, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you know what, Rudy? Like, Ty doesn't know because he hasn't seen it. The generation way back, like when I'm talking about when the Lakers, man, way back then, when basketball was exciting. Today all it is a bunch of guys that dribble down. They all stay out on the perimeter. They don't pound the inside. And the league is fouls, foul. All you do is jerk your head back like someone nailed you, and they call a foul.
Yeah.
I remember playing.
Even the fouls back then, like if you were trying to dunk the way they do now, they would like pretty much tackle you under the rim. They would not let you get that dunk off ever. Now it'd be like a flagrant 2, and you get ejected.
I remember watching Barkley, Rick Mahorn, watching the Bad Boys, the Detroit Pistons with Bill Laimbeer and all them. You never drove to the lane against the Detroit Pistons back in the 80s. You would end up on the floor.
See, you were fighting one way or another. They would knock you out, elbows, everything. Nowadays it would never happen. It's too easy to score, if anything.
Yeah, basketball, you don't even see, besides Embiid, you really don't know who the real good centers are anymore in basketball. Back in my day, you had Hakeem Olajuwon, you had Patrick Ewing, you had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you had Horace Grant, you had Cartwright. You had all these guys that were big-name centers, and nowadays, if you ask any random person, they could probably name 2.
Yeah. It'd probably be like, it's pretty much like Embiid. He's in the league of his own, playing in the center.
Yep.
I thank you guys for making me feel like I'm a child now, but I definitely agree with you. When you watch basketball games nowadays, you see so many people around the arc. You don't see many people just go under the net and be like, "Hey, pass me the ball. I'm 6'8", 7 foot. I could just dunk it real quick." Yeah, basketball is a shooter's game, I would say.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of people just driving in, and I hate that. One thing, how you guys were talking about how we talk about this a lot with the fouls nowadays. It is crazy. One thing that really bothers me is when someone fakes the shot, okay, and you have a defender jump, and they jump into that defender. I hate that. That should not be a foul.
Maybe it should be an offensive foul. You're pretty much like shoving your shoulder into their chest while you're shooting to get that foul.
Well, you know what? We saw it the other night in the Boston game. Embiid, early on in the game, he would get the ball, and the first thing he did was turn around and act like he's a forward or a guard, and he tries to dribble by people. But then when the game got more interesting, he started backing people down and taking the ball to the hole where he belongs, down low, and he dominated. But it seems like as soon as they get away from that, the team starts falling apart.
Yeah. It's like nowadays you have players like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson who just completely changed the game of basketball with their three-point shooting. And I guess for kids, it'd be easier for a kid to become Steph Curry than it is for them to become a LeBron James, where they have to drive down the hole and be super athletic. Or you could just chuck up threes and hopefully make them,
Hey, just a heads up, UCF is beating Duke 57. Oh, they just tied. It's 57-57 with 10 minutes to go in the game.
All right, let's move on. Moving on to baseball. A lot of big contract extensions that happened over the past week and a half. I think the biggest one would probably be Mike Trout's 12-year, $430 million. But Chris Sale got an extension. Verlander just got an extension. Rudy, what is your thoughts on these extensions? And Verlander, just to add this in, Verlander, when he signed his extension, said that we are in a new wave of MLB baseball offseason because of all these crazy contract extensions.
Well, I mean, he was one of the few guys that were complaining about players not getting any money during the time Machado and Harper weren't signing. But look, he lucked out. He got a lot of money for those 2 years, which is he does deserve it. Mike Trout, I'm happy to see that he got that money he got. I think he could have gotten even more, honestly. But I'm definitely glad he did not go to the Phillies, as Bryce Harper was predicting.
And one thing that's funny is a lot of people were like, I don't understand why Mike Trout's signing with the Angels. They're not going to go anywhere. But you have to think about it like this. Say you had a kid and someone offered your kid $430 million. What would you tell your kid to do? You would tell him to take that money, right?
Exactly, yeah. I'd definitely tell my kid to take that money.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care who I'm playing with. But I have this debate with my dad all the time. We get into it. Like, I understand this is a business and everything, and they have the money to pay these people, but I just think at some point it gets a little crazy, $430 million for an athlete, because you look at certain extensions like Blake Snell, who did a 5-year, $50 million. Aaron Nola was a 4-year, like $45 million. I think those are good contracts. $430 million, it gets a little crazy.
That's a lot of money. It really is. And then where does it stop from there?
It's not. It's going to keep getting higher and higher. I mean, Aaron Judge is going to be a free agent soon.
Who was it that was it Mookie Betts that won the MVP last year?
Yeah.
There's rumors going around that he turned down a $200 million extension with Boston already. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, there's some players that I think are way overpaid, and then there's players like Mike Trout, like I said, generational players. They don't come around often, and considering how much money that Angels organization makes with him, I don't blame him for trying to keep him there and give him that incentive of making that $430 million. It's a ridiculous amount of money, but that organization makes billions of dollars off of him.
Yeah. Now,
to be honest.
Where do you think someone like Judge is going to end up as far as extension?
I can see him around 100-some millions. I don't think he gets over 200 million. I think maybe 150 around there.
Because you think about it, this is his third season up in the big leagues,
and he already almost won an MVP.
And with the stats he's putting up, I mean, it's incredible that he's still only making $600,000 a year, which is a lot of money to us, but for baseball standards, that's almost like a slap in the face. Now, if this was like football, he'd probably be sitting out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially how much money the Yankees, like I said, the Yankees been making a lot of money off of him with Judge's Chambers and all the merchandise with his name on it,
the seats for behind home plate for the season, I heard that they go over $100,000 for the season.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
I think that what you're seeing here, and they interviewed Justin Verlander, and he was saying this too, is what you're seeing now in this new wave of baseball is you have a team who has a player they do not want to get rid of. So what they're doing now is just offering him a huge amount where he just can't deny that. I mean, you look at Trout's contract. Why the heck would he would be stupid to deny that contract. I think for Aaron Judge, though, I think Aaron Judge gets at least $200 million just because within 3 years he's already been producing like a Mike Trout, like a Bryce Harper. And I think I think that they're going to give him a lot of money too, because I don't think they want to see Judge walk. I think they want to keep him as a Yankee.
No, I mean, and the way he keeps going, also, he could not only be the face of the Yankees, but also the face of baseball. Unfortunately for Mike Trout, he does play for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who are not really recognized as an organization. But you look at Aaron Judge, plays for the pretty much biggest sports franchise in sports. Everybody knows who Aaron Judge is just because he plays for the Yankees, on top of him doing very well for the team. And all that marketing could help him out a lot more than it would Mike Trout.
All right, Rudy. Couple podcasts back, Tyler and I, we had fun. We projected our World Series. Who do you see coming out of the AL, and who do you see coming out of the NL?
Out of the AL, I know it's going to sound biased because I am a Yankees fan, but I do believe the Yankees should come out on top in the AL just because they made a lot of improvements in our bullpen, which was already stacked, but it's even better now. They addressed some of the pitching that we needed. I also like the Gio Gonzalez sign because we need a little bit more depth there.
Now, let me ask you something. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Does that bother you now, though, that the Yankees are left-handed heavy as far as pitching? I mean, with Paxton, Happ, Sabathia, Gonzalez, and then when Montgomery comes back, that's 5 lefties.
Yeah, that did worry me a lot. It does worry me a lot. That's another reason why I didn't really want Dallas Keuchel to be added to that rotation. You just hope some of the young guys develop a little bit more, like Loizaga and Herman. Hopefully it does work out. I mean, they had a lot of things go wrong last season with the lack of production out of first base and Gary Sanchez struggling, a lot of injuries that they had last year, and they still managed to win 100 games. So seeing that, I mean, they might not win 100 games, but still win a division, because I feel like Boston didn't do enough this offseason to get better. So no. I think the Yankees should take it.
Now, Ty and I, we had this discussion several times now as far as CC Sabathia goes. In my mind, and as you know, and when I look at things, as I coach, so I look at it as what I would do as a coach. Do you still think CC Sabathia should be a starter? I mean, I look at it as last year he had a lot of great games where he got through the rotation maybe the second time, and the third time they started hitting him. In my eyes, I think I would have him more as a long reliever.
Yeah, I think he'd be perfect for a long reliever. I've honestly thought that myself. I don't think he should be a starter anymore. He did develop that cutter, which helps out a lot. I think he would be better suited to be a long reliever than he would be a starter.
I got to give my opinion on this now, because here we go. Okay, I think C. Sabathia still has it to go out there and start, and here's why. He still has great location. He clearly doesn't hit the high 90s anymore, but his location has adapted very well because he knows he can't throw that fastball anymore. And the Yankees bullpen is so deep that if he can only go 4 innings, I mean, you can bring 4 of their guys out.
Yeah,
they have that new rule coming out too now that you can only pitch. You have to pitch to at least 3 batters.
Yeah.
So
or finish the inning.
So this, I still think CC has it. I mean,
I understand that, but if you look at the spring training overall, I mean, you look at guys like Luis Cessa, who had a great spring. You know, Domingo Germán, another one. I just think, and you know what? That Deal guy they just traded, I'm surprised they traded him for an outfielder, especially an outfielder that's only batting 150. Deal had a great spring training. He only had 1 rough outing. He had 10 innings pitched. He struck out 17 batters. But Cessa, his ERA is under 1. I think it's time. You can't look at CC and say, you know what, you've been a long time guy. The guy has a lot of innings on his arm. There comes a time where you got to say, you know what, we think it's best for you to be either a long reliever, or if we have multiple games in a week, maybe he's that 5th starter for that week, or we go to like a 6th starter just to give guys rest. But he struggles, and that's horrible, but he struggles after his 3rd time through an order.
But the thing with Cessa, though, is Cessa has had success in previous spring trainings, but when you put him in a game, he gets lit up and he loses his control a lot. I would like Cessa to be good, but Cessa hasn't proven anything in the past to be good.
You know what? He went back down to the minors, and he pitched very well down there. He has 18 innings pitched this spring. He's only allowed 11 hits, 2 runs, struck out 19, and he only walked 2. So I'm saying I think his control is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a little iffy on Cessa. The last couple of seasons, he has had a couple good spring trainings here and there, but when he comes during the season, he gets in there, and I don't know if it's maybe too much for him, but he does tend to choke a little bit, and he gets a lot of hits on him and gives up a lot of runs. As far as CC, I do think the long reliever position for him would be a lot better, just lighten his workload and make him more effective throughout the season.
Well, you know what? They really, for some reason, they really pump up this Loaiza kid. I mean, he had a horrible spring training. Horrible. His ERA is almost 7. He's allowed 13 runs. He struck out 18 batters over 16 innings, but his ERA is elevated, and he struggled this whole spring.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did get to see him actually in person last season. I went to the Yankees game, and it was his debut, and he pitched a great game. He has a lot of good stuff. I just feel like he still has a lot to prove. I think he should stay in the minors, work a little bit more, and maybe if he gets his stuff right, come up and see. Hopefully, he pitches as well as he did when he started last season.
All right, let's talk about the outfielder, because recently they sent down Clint Frazier, and they only had 3 outfielders, and instead of keeping Tyler Wade or Clint Frazier up, because I know Clint Frazier was struggling, but instead of keeping him up and see if he can get hot, they go out and trade for a 29-year-old outfielder from the Rockies.
I don't agree with this at all. I really don't. I don't agree with it. You just gave away a good arm, a young arm, for a guy who I think his career average is like 153. When you could have kept Wade in the outfield, he's been playing center field. He's batting over 300 this spring. You know, I don't know. I'm dumbfounded. I
understand Frazier's coming off an injury, and he only batted 130, 53 plate appearances. But just, Tyler Wade was at least, I know Tyler Wade, I'm not a favorite of him, but he was batting very well. You could have put him in the outfield. You could at least kept Clint Frazier up and just see what happens, because you at least need depth up there.
I would rather have kept Clint Frazier up than Ellsbury, who hasn't seen live hitting in how long. Yep. I mean, Ellsbury's going to stay up, and we don't even know when Ellsbury's going to come out and play.
Instead, we traded a decent young pitcher away.
I mean, I did feel bad for Deal. I was reading that he thought it was a prank that he got traded, and he said it hurt him because he made a lot of great friends. He loved the organization, so I did feel bad for him as far as that trade didn't really make sense to me. Tyler Wade, I'm not a big fan of. He's great defensively, but when it comes to hitting in the major leagues, he does nothing. He does great spring training, does great AAA. When they call him up, he does nothing with the bat. As far as fielding and defense goes, he plays great, but I think I'd rather give that spot to Clint Frazier and let him hopefully get high and see what he can do.
Well, they still have Jalen Jackson up, which I don't know too much about him. And you know who I feel bad for? Estevan Florio. That kid he was playing amazing. And
he probably would have stayed up too.
He was still on the roster late, which was a good sign. I think definitely they would not have made that trade if he didn't break his wrist.
I think Florio would have stayed. He might have even made the roster, if anything, because he was playing great until that injury happened.
And what's crazy, I think he was only in AA last year, and to make it this far into spring training, I think he probably would have stayed up because of how bad Clinton Frazier was struggling, and then with Hicks going out.
What concerns do you guys have as far as Yankee fans about the stats from spring training? I mean, because like Green, Loaiza, Happ, with the Ottavino, all their ERAs are almost 5 or higher.
As far as they go, I don't know. I feel like it's just still rust with the season. Hopefully, when it gets warmer out and then they get more into the season, they'll adjust a little bit and stay more consistent. What's been concerning me is just the injuries. I mean, I'm glad that it's happening now instead of later in the season, but after a certain amount of time, if these injuries continue to happen, it will affect the team.
I don't think I'm worried yet, especially with Chad Green, because they were testing out a lot of people for a starting rotation job, so Chad Green was getting extended innings there.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Of all the people that you would pick for a starting pitcher, I would not pick a Chad Green. See, the guy lives too much. He lives too much with the fastball.
I think Chad Green has what it takes to be a good reliever, a good closer, because he came up as a starter, and you saw he struggled. Because, like you said, he's a dominant fastball and a good junk. So I think he's lights out as a reliever. I don't think he's got it. I mean, look at Betances. Betances was a starter because he threw so hard, and he almost lost his career, and they saved his career by making him a reliever and a closer.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar with Mariano Rivera. He started. It wasn't working out too well for him either, and turned into the greatest closer of all time.
I got to tell you, Brett Gardner has really impressed me this spring. He's batting .387. Clint Frazier said he was going to take that job, and Gardner said, you're not ready. I'm not ready to give it up yet. What do you guys think of Gardy?
Well, I like the way Gardner's handled it. If Clint Frazier's going to do the talking, well, Gardner says, well, let my play do the talking. I'm the vet here. This is my spot. You're not going to take it, so I'm going to show you that you're not going to, and let Clint Frazier keep talking, and now look at where he's at.
Yeah, and another guy that I was talking about, Florio, he was batting .355 the time he got hurt, which is amazing.
Yeah,
crazy. You know who else is having a great spring, and no one has even talked about him? Andujar. The whole offseason, the whole offseason was Machado. He doesn't have, Andujar has no defense, the whole 9 yards. This kid, he's going to be a diamond in the rough. He really is. This kid is amazing.
Yeah, I was a big proponent of having Machado on the team. I think it could only help, especially with Didi being out and not knowing how long he was going to be going for. But I am glad that Andujar's still on the team. I think the kid's real special, great talent, and I think he has a bright future ahead.
Yeah, I I like Andujar. I think he's young. He's gonna have some mistakes. But I'm a big Brett Gardner fan. He's one of my favorite Yankees simply because he hustles every single ball out, and I love that. So many people almost every offseason just kind of like want him gone. Like, we don't need to re-sign him. But I love the fact that we re-signed him because he gives it his all every year. He probably averages around high 280s batting average. He always has a great season batting with us. He gets on base a lot. He still puts up home runs. I mean, 2 years ago he had over 30 home runs. That was crazy.
I mean, he does remind me of not to compare the two, but he does remind me a lot of Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter wasn't, let's say, the most talented shortstop, but there was no denying he was going to leave everything on the field, and his heart just made his play that much better. And I feel Brett Gardner is very similar to where he's going to leave it all out there. You're not going to question that, and it's going to help the team, and hopefully it rubs off on the younger guys and help them perform a lot better as well.
Yeah, just think. Another thing they were talking about was the lack of production at first base. Voit and Bird are both having an amazing spring training.
And I'm so happy that we were able to keep both of them up, because if you could put them both in the lineup, like one of them start first base and one of them play DH, because right now we only have 4 outfielders, so you could play Stanton and Judge, and you can DH either Bird or Voit, because they're both putting up great numbers.
Well, I mean, I hope that having Voit there lights fire under Greg Bird, because, you know, it's either he's hurt, he's like another Aaron Hicks, either he's hurt or, you know, it's just lack of production. And having Luke Voit there, you know, there's no sleeping for him. There's somebody there to take your job now, so you better step it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Luke Voit looks like our generation of Babe Ruth, but they're saying that Greg Bird is having his best offseason, that he went down to spring train early with the hitting coach, and he texted Aaron Boone and was like, this is the Greg Bird that we've been waiting for. This is the Greg Bird that he's healthy, he's going to produce for us. So hopefully he did a little scared the other day because he got hit by a pitch. But I hope he stays healthy, and I hope they both put up great numbers this year.
I tell you what I can't wait for Didi to get back. I think the Tulowitzki move was nice. I think offensively it's not going to help us. I think defensively we'll be fine. But I think they should move Torres over to shortstop. And I think it's easier to find a second baseman. I mean, we have guys that Urshela, you know, he's a third baseman. We have Estrada. We have
DJ LeMahieu.
DJ LeMahieu but he's another one. He's only batting 214. Tulowitzki's batting 219. I mean, I don't know if it's just a slow start, but if you look at our batting averages right now, Stanton's batting 325, Judge 324, Bird 317, Voit 302, Torres 302, Sanchez 222, and then LeMahieu and Tulowitzki 214 and 219. There are a couple kids. I think that it'd be easier to put Torres over there. What do you guys think?
I said that the Tulowitzki, I like Tulowitzki. He's got a great glove. I compare it to almost Derek Jeter when his last 2 years with the Yankees, where he had a great glove and he gave it his all, but his bat wasn't there the whole time. Like, he still batted good. I'm not saying he didn't, but it wasn't like a young Derek Jeter. I think that's what you're getting at Tulowitzki. He's getting towards the end of his career. He's going to give it his all, but it's not going to be, he's going to be out there hitting doubles, home runs a lot.
Well, Estrada's the young kid that was shot, right? And he just got the bullet removed.
Yeah.
You know, he's batting 286. I think that's a guy you should keep up and give him. I don't know. I think Tulowitzki, I don't want to say it's past his time. I just think when you're injured that much, you lose a little bit of the offensive side of the game. It's easy to get the defensive side back, but when you don't have that hand-eye coordination, you're not getting those reps. I just think it's going to be tough for him to produce.
Yeah, especially a shortstop, and with the injuries that he did have, they're very significant, and he doesn't have the range he used to have. I mean, a guy that I do and will miss on the Yankees this season is Torres. He's not an everyday second baseman, but he did play with a lot of heart, and when he was injured last season, he stepped up big time 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I think getting rid of Torres was a bad move. The guy batted over 300 every time the Yankees had him up. He was a great motivator for the team, and he could play him anywhere. You know, you wanted to give guys a rest, you could play him at third, short, second, anywhere.
And Trace was a great. Go ahead.
The outfield, he was like just a little spark plug for the team. That even with him and Judge, you see that great chemistry he had, and then especially in the infield with Didi as well, you can see he just meant a lot to that team. I wish he was still on there. He would be a big help this season.
He was a great contact hitter too. Like he always got that. There was one stretch there I think it was like I don't even know. He just kept getting a lot of hits. He was always a good contact hitter, a good fastball hitter. Always got on base, and he had the speed to steal bases.
Yeah, I think he was hitting like around 4-something for a month. He was just, like I said, a great spark plug for the team, and especially stepping up big time when Didi was gone for that first month of the season.
All right, Rudy, before we continue, we got a little sidetracked. We never picked your NL team, so let's hear your NL team and then your World Series.
I mean, for the NL, it will be a surprising one. It's not really a team that anybody maybe picked, but I think the Milwaukee Brewers will be in the World Series against the Yankees this season.
That's an interesting one.
That is interesting.
I do think that they're going to do well this year, especially since they re-signed a lot of players.
Just a quick update. Duke is losing 75-73 with 45 seconds to go in the game.
Wow,
That's going to be huge.
I really wasn't paying attention when you guys were talking about that for a second in the background.
How many people just lost a lot of money? How many people do you hear Vegas going nuts? Like, ding, 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 ding. It's now 76-73.
Wow. Yeah, I could imagine so many brackets are done after the night if Duke does lose.
What I think is cool is if there's a little time left, this is where you'll see can Zion pull it out or not. Because your heart's probably pounding right now. There's a lot of people watching you because you've been so good all year. Can you come through and win this game for them?
Yeah, not only him, but even R.J. Barrett as well, who's considered to be the number one prospect coming out of high school. So
Yeah.
Zion was number 2, so there's a lot of pressure on both of them, even Mike Krzyzewski as well.
Zion just answered. He answered with a layup. 76-75, 14 seconds to go.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
All right, Rudy, since we're on the air, what do you think as far as the NL East? I mean, that's a hot division.
I know everybody's talking about the Phillies and Bryce Harper. I do love a lot of the moves they made. The Real Muto move was good. Gene Segura is another great move. David Robinson, great. But I feel like the division is very strong, especially with the Nationals still there and the Braves still there. I don't think much about the Mets, but they still have a strong rotation. You still got to face DeGrom and Syndergaard, and while they also going to have to face Corbin and Strasburg and Scherzer, that's a lot of pitching to be facing. Not to mention the pitching that the Braves have. So it won't be easy for the Phillies. I don't think they will win the division. I might say it's still going to go to the Braves or the Nationals. They still have that young stud in Juan Soto as well.
I think the Nationals, they have the best rotation in that division, and I think they have a lot to prove. Everyone said once they lost Harper, they're done. Oh, Duke just took the lead with 7 seconds left in the game.
Wow.
Rudy,
I got to ask you real quick, man. Are you praising the Mets there? Because you gave me such a hard time just talking about the Mets. The one podcast, I wasn't even praising them.
Oh, no, I just said right now I don't think much about the Mets, but they do have Syndergaard and DeGrom, which their talent can't be denied. The problem with the Mets is they have that great pitching, but their offense is so lackluster they can't win any games. You see DeGrom last year, his winning loss should have been way different. He should have at least won 20 games last season if he were on any other team like the Yankees, per se. I just think that the Mets are just a clown show.
Well, there's a story out. There's a story out today that Syndergaard's actually unhappy with the whole DeGrom talks and the way they're treating him. I projected that they'll be done by the end of May. They'll be at least 7, 8, maybe 10 games out.
And I picked the Phillies a lot of podcasts ago, and it was watching the Phillies in the spring training. There was a little worry there. But it took Harper a while to get his first hit, and now he's got some home runs there. I think that team's going to develop together. I do agree with you, Rudy. The Braves are going to be very good this year. I really do see that. Especially, I like the pickup with Josh Donaldson. I love that move because you needed a third baseman, and I still think he has time left in his years. I do think the Phillies will win that division, but that division is going to be very, very interesting to watch because I do agree with you that the Nationals are still they have a lot of talent left on that team.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a dogfight. If they do win, I will definitely give them props for it, but it won't be easy for them. I will say that.
I actually picked the Nationals to go to the World Series.
Okay.
Yankees
I
versus
that happening as well.
Yeah, Yankees versus the Nationals.
That they have.
I think the American League and the National League, the two East divisions, I think that those are the two dominant divisions in baseball right now.
I think I picked the Yankees and the Cubs, and I'm not. Like Rudy said earlier, I'm not picking the Yankees because I'm a Yankees fan. I just think that they have the edge on Boston this year. I think they're tired of losing to Boston, so I think that they're really going to put it together this year.
And everyone's picking the Dodgers out there to win. I think Colorado's going to win that division.
I don't know. I've heard the Dodgers lost too much talent for them to come back. People can say what they want about Puig, but the dude was a stud in the playoffs. And he's like I said, Torreyes, like a spark plug for that team. He's a little crazy, but he plays a lot of heart. I'll give him that. And Kemp was also playing great. People can say what they want about Machado, with his lackluster hustling or this and that, but he's also a great talent. That's a lot of talent to lose for a team that is aspiring to go back to the World Series for a third time. I don't think they make it.
All right, it's official. Duke held on and won 77-76.
Wow, good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
That's exciting because I picked Duke. So
a lot of people
I
just.
was about to say, a lot of people probably breathe a hell of a sigh of relief right now.
A lot of people, yeah, because that was going to kill a lot of tickets.
Hi, Rudy. There was a lot of changes that they're talking about this offseason for baseball. The one rule was you have to pitch to at least 3 batters. When you bring a pitcher in, they have talks about in the minors, they're going to test some rules out where the umpires can get help from electronics, that they possibly might move the mound. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
I mean, when it comes to baseball, I'm very old school, but I also see, as far as statistics go, they keep saying that the sport's dying. It's unfortunate to hear because it's the sport I love most, but if there's anything that can help baseball but not hopefully change it too drastically, if it helps, I'm fine with it. But at the same time, I hope it just doesn't change the game too much.
You know what, too? I think, and I love baseball, but I think the baseball season's too long. And I think a lot of people get bored with it. You know, it doesn't really get interesting until September, October.
Yeah, I feel like the first couple seasons, everybody's excited, got the warm weather, baseball teams see how they're doing. But when you get to that middle of the season, it starts slowing down. The trade deadline gets hot, but then after that, it feels like it's a drag to get to the playoffs. I do agree with that the season's too long. I feel like they should at least cut it maybe 20 games, but
because let's face it, if say you're rooting for like the Orioles and they're 15 games out by June, how many people do you think are going to be interested in that?
Not many people. Like, yeah, I still think if you're a true, like, if say the Yankees sucked, I'd still watch the Yankees games because I want to see what they do. Like, will they bring the young talent up? How will that young talent play?
I mean, but it's the Yankees, though. That management will never let that happen. Even in the years that they've been struggling the last decade, they still were competitive. They stayed in there. Even if they didn't make the playoffs, they were always competitive enough towards the end where they still kept you interested.
Yeah, but we can make the comparison, like, say your Knicks. Like, the Knicks aren't the best team right now, but yet you probably still watch them. You probably still watch them, though, to see, like, the young talent, see how maybe you'll have a future with some of those young stars.
I mean, to be honest, I haven't watched the Knicks game all season. I wasn't expecting much out of them. I mean, it's terrible as a basketball fan, as a Knicks fan, but I don't know. I just see them losing game after game. I just see some highlights here and there, but nothing crazy. Just because I expect it from the Knicks. They've been terrible for pretty much the majority of my life, All
right. Rudy, before we get to the end of this podcast, I really want to talk with you. I don't know if you know this, Dad, but Rudy is a Minnesota fan. And, Rudy, you guys have let a lot of people walk this year. And
thank you for the safety.
Yeah, thank you for 3. The Saints took 3 players from Minnesota. I just want to get your input on what you think, how their offseason's going, who you would like to see them at least draft, even trade for, because there's some big free agents that are still left, like Sue.
Yeah, to be honest, I actually have, the moves that they made. I was fine with them letting go of Latavius Murray. I don't think it was that great. I was happy to see Anthony Barr come back. Just seeing all the guys that they kept were the nucleus guys. I'm fine with Sendejo leaving. I actually like the moves they made as far because they did have the worst cap situation in the NFL. So for what they've done, they kept a lot of guys. I think they've done pretty well.
Anthony Barr, he stayed with Minnesota. I thought he was going to go to the Jets.
Oh no, he said he was going to the Jets, and then the next day he
flip-flopped.
He flip-flopped. Yeah, he said
he'll make a great politician one day.
He said he got a bad feeling and decided to go back. He said Minnesota's home for him.
He'll make a great politician one day.
Do you have any expectations in the draft? Any certain piece that you would really love to see them draft?
Nothing really specific. Just go get some guards, man. Just protect the line. I know Kirk Cousins is taking a lot of slack, but as far as his stats were concerned, he played a lot better than any quarterback we've had in a long time.
I think one thing we definitely need to discuss that was breaking news today is that Rob Gronkowski has come out and said that he's retiring, which is shocking. He talked about that last year, but I think it was more because they talked about trading him. And that's crazy because I figured he would retire when Brady retired.
I agree with that.
And I feel like that kind of screwed Brady.
Yeah, I felt like I was very surprised he's retiring. I feel like the timing of it was kind of messed up, with so many free agents that were out there. You could have even went after Jared Cook, but I guess he made his decision. Very surprising at such an early age, but at the same time, he is pretty beat up for a guy that's only 29 years old for all the surgeries he's had. So
did Cook sign with the Saints?
Yeah, Jared Cook is signing with the Saints, which is huge because the last time that Drew Brees had a really good tight end was Jimmy Graham, and that duo combination was insane. Plus, you have Michael Thomas, and I hope that we can re-sign Dez Bryant.
I'm surprised no one picked up Adama Suh yet.
I know.
He's just sitting out there. I don't know if he's asking for too much money or what.
Yeah, that's what my thought was. Maybe he's asking for a lot of money. He thinks he's worth a lot more than what they're offering.
Yeah, that is crazy because Clay Matthews, the Rams picked him up. I'm shocked they picked him up and not Sue. So that is a little interesting because he's a good player. He's definitely a good player.
And he definitely has that chemistry there with the Rams, instead of having somebody else new come in and learn their system and how they play. He had that chemistry there with Aaron Donald. So I figured they would have kept him, but like they say, they maybe wanted too much money.
It's definitely going to be interesting this football season with all the changes. It's crazy the amount of big names that have jumped ship and went to different teams.
A lot of people on a lot of different teams. It's exciting. I'm excited for this draft, too.
Yeah, I saw everybody talking about the Odell and how the Browns are now Super Bowl favorites. I did agree that the Giants should have traded Odell. I thought they should have done it last season, to be honest. And I thought they could have gotten a lot more, but I still don't believe the Browns are Super Bowl favorites. That's a lot of egos put together to make it gel. So we'll see what happens. I think they are a playoff team, might win their division, but as far as Super Bowl goes, I don't think the Browns are a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as that. I said they would win the division. That division's a mess right now, and they're the only team that's really doing anything in that division. Everyone else is breaking their team apart. But as far as them being better than Kansas City, Kansas City's defense is crap. But going into that environment, I just think Kansas City will put too many points on them.
I don't know. You got to think, man. Any given Sunday,
yeah,
okay? No. Wait. The Browns. I'm gonna say the Browns are gonna win that division, and there is a good chance. I'm not saying they're gonna go to the Super Bowl, but they have a good team. Baker played really well last year. If he develops a chemistry with Odell Beckham and Landry, that is going to be a scary team. Their defense is still good and young. That could be a team that can make a run. Look at Patrick Mahomes last year. He had not a lot of defense help, and he had two superstars on his offense, and look what he did with that. He almost got to Super Bowl. That can happen with the Browns.
All I got to say is I projected two things so far that came right. I projected the whole
Harper to the Phillies.
I projected Hicks was a waste of money. And my third projection, and people are going to be like, yeah, you're an idiot, it's not true, but I think the Giants are going to be tough next year. First of all, they're going to have an easy schedule because they sucked last year, and they have improved that offensive line. And I think the biggest problem was not giving Eli enough time. I think if they get the defensive pieces, I think they have 12 draft picks. But offensively, I think if that line is good, which it should be, I think they're going to be a better team.
And what's the worst that happens for them? Eli goes 0-3. Let's face it, they're going to draft a QB that first round. You put him in. Look what Lamar Jackson did.
But we looked at Eli's stats last year, and his stats were pretty damn good for how bad that team was. I mean, Saquon was the second leading receiver on that team, which is a problem. But if you address that line issue, you could easily see that offense. They still have good weapons there. Golden Tate's there, Sterling Shepard's there. They're that tight end.
I mean, Ingram, yeah. I feel like, their line, a lot of people are putting too much blame on Eli as well. I feel like if you're standing in a line, it's like tissue paper where everybody just rips right through him.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you no time to play. What do you expect him to do? And the man is, 38 years old. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's never been a mobile quarterback, so I don't know why everybody's acting surprised that they need a mobile quarterback now.
And you're going to make mistakes and throw picks when you say a hike. In a matter of a second, you have 3 guys rushing you. That's why Saquon had so many receptions, because when he said hike, he had to dump it off every play.
Yeah, and the defense is still going to be their problem. I mean, they let a lot go. Olivier Vernon's gone.
I think they're going to address that in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, they have 12 picks.
You got Jabril Peppers, but you need some good cornerbacks, and you got your safety was one of your best players on that team.
Well, this draft is loaded with defensive ends and defensive tackles. So if they beef up that line, I mean, look at Washington's defensive line. That's all Alabama.
Yeah.
So if they beef up that defensive line,
it's a lot of defense.
I tell you, they're going to be a team to reckon with, and plus their schedule's going to be pretty easy compared to what the Cowboys and the Eagles and them get.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. We don't even. I don't know. I still think they made a mistake letting go of Nick Foles. I think Carson Wentz is very talented, but like I said, the best ability is availability, and you never know. One play he could be out again, and.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have any. There's no Nick Foles there anymore to carry your team.
Yeah, Nate Studfeld's not going to take them to the promised land.
No.
All right, Rudy. Well, we're going to end this podcast. It has been a blast to finally get on this show. We get you on this show, and to not have you.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really talk about Gary Sanchez, and that's okay. I don't want to start a.
Well, next time, because I definitely want to. I want to compare. Everyone's saying Boston's the team again, and I projected them not even to make the playoffs next year or this year. I like to compare their roster to the Yankees and see what we think.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out this season, see what happens. And it was a pleasure being on the show with you guys. Like I told Tyler, it's my favorite podcast to listen to. So you guys keep up the great work, and I'll definitely be glad to come on again anytime soon.
Last week was a tough week. We didn't. I mean, last week was the first week we haven't done one. It was a busy week, so we're going to try to get more involved and do them more often and have more guests on.
Rudy, it's been a pleasure to have you on. We'll have you on definitely again. This podcast will be up on YouTube on Everything Goes to the Z and our Facebook page, Everything Goes to the Z. So we guys hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we'll see you next time.